Alright, so, going in from there. Well, I can't get too close to the mic because I'm gonna fucking... I'm gonna be too loud. Mr. John, how's everything been going?
It's been a wild week, but not bad. I'm coming in from Eagle Pass right now, so...
That's exciting. There you go. Anything else?
Oh, let's see. God, it's been a lot of work. I haven't really had time to play much. Gotten back into IRL dueling. My deck's doing pretty well. I run a Vendread build right now, so that was cool.
Good.
You're playing at anywhere specific?
Just with my buds, and then I had a Zoom duel with another friend.
Oh.
But I haven't been to like any like card shops or anything.
Those webcam ones are always the weirdest.
Yeah, like the delay was just off, and it was. I mean, it was cool, but nothing beats IRL.
Right. No, well, one time, like a few times I had to do it, I had to keep asking, like, okay, what column is that card at? Because column positioning is very important.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. What kind of deck do you run, Josh?
I currently, in my deck boxes, I have Salamangreats, Zombie World, and Dinos.
Ooh. Ah, fucking Dinos. I love and hate Dinos. And that's my side build is Zombie World.
Zombie World's fun. I have fun playing that one.
Yeah, Balladrock's real annoying.
Yes. It's great. I love it. I hate it, but I love it. Like, I would hate going against it, but I love using it. And then
I know, dude. I used it once, and my buddy, he uses Black Tyranno, like the main dinosaur that flips all your monsters face down, and he was getting kind of salty.
UCT, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno.
Yes, I hate that card so much.
And then here's Pentastag. Guess what, Piercing?
No, yeah, you ain't gonna do nothing.
Yeah, that's.
But anyway.
Yeah. Mallory, anything going on with you? Oh, Mallory.
Nope.
Mallory. I guess nothing's happening with Mallory. She's just dead.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Verizon, let's go.
So, I've started a few projects that should be, getting up off the ground soon. So I'm excited for that. Not revealing anything. And then mostly work. I did get to play a little bit of Little Big Planet, so that was cool. And then I got to play Beat Saber VR with my nephew this weekend, which was also pretty cool. I get to pretend I'm a Jedi playing to music.
There you go.
So that's always my favorite thing. And other than that, yeah, that's about it.
Mr. Josh?
So Deadly Premonition, finished that. I know you and I talked about it already.
Yeah, we did our talk, because there's spoilers, so it can't talk on here anyways.
Yeah.
But yes, we had that talk.
Yep. Started Deadly Premonition 2, but honestly haven't really touched it since.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of been playing a few other games that I don't really need to. I guess I kind of wanted to take a break from something that
you have to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, so... played Mega Man 2. Beat that for like the first time ever.
Oh, OG?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Like,
it's a hard game.
Yeah, I use the stupid rewind thing every time I lost a boss.
Oh, so you didn't beat it?
Okay, Mike Matei. Yeah, just because, those games are unforgiving, because there's a boss in Stage 4 where if you fuck it up, it's, like, you can't really go any further.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's like you practically may as well just start over a few levels back, because you have to replenish your weapon meter for it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it took a few hours, but got that. Started playing Code Vein. That has been an experience. There's definitely pros and cons. the character customization is great. Spend a lot of time with it.
Mm-hmm.
Gameplay wise, even though a lot of people compare it to Souls, and I definitely understand why, it certainly feels different. It's definitely much more equipment based, rather than well, like for example, in Demon Souls, Dark Souls, and Bloodborne, every time you level up, you choose a stat to increase that you use your souls for, and that reflects your level. Well, in Code Vein, you just level up, so your HP and your stamina will always increase. Everything else is dependent on what gear you're using, your weapons, your blood code, the blood veil that you have on. So it's kind of interesting, but it has a bit of a learning curve to it. Like one boss, I just had to stop, and I just ended up grinding levels and learning abilities from different blood codes just so I could kind of ramp up the arsenal a bit. And even when I won, it didn't really feel like I earned it. It was just a frustrating boss. So that's been interesting. A little bit of Bloodborne, not too much. I think that's the majority of what I've been doing. A lot of that shit. So yeah.
Nice. I guess for me, I didn't play any games this week, but the week before I was playing another playthrough of Octopath Traveler because I want to waste another few hundred hours, and then also playing the new Blasphemous content, which is ridiculous because the original game was already hard enough, and this one decided that it wasn't, so it's one of those things where I'm just like, okay, well, this is a thing, but it's pretty good, aside nearly having a heart attack when I beat some of those bosses when it's down to like Magic Pixel to Magic Pixel and I win. Or I lose, and it's frustrating either way, and I'm just screaming. It's the kind of game where I'll just... I mentioned this before in my video, my first look video, as well as on the podcast several times, that the thing I love about Blasphemous is it's extremely difficult, but it never feels unfair. There are some games that are difficult. They're the Dark Souls of whatever, and this isn't a slight towards Dark Souls, but it's a slight towards games that try to be difficult on purpose, like Cuphead, where it's like, it's not fun, it's just difficult to be difficult. And there's a big difference between Souls-like difficulty and then difficulty just to be the hardest platformer ever, which is what Cuphead did intentionally. It didn't feel rewarding or fun. And that's the thing, is when I lose to a boss or when I lose to a fight in Blasphemous, I don't feel discouraged. I feel like it can be done. I just gotta figure out the pattern, or I gotta figure out my strategy, or I gotta increase my health and then come back because I just don't have enough health to get it through. I never had that feeling where I was just like, man, fuck this game, they just decided to do an ultra attack at the end just because I was about to win. It never feels like that. It's always like, oh, okay, when you get them down to a quarter health, they're always going to do 2 of these attacks, and it'll either be on the left and the middle, or the middle and the right. So you can kind of tell based on their cue, the animation of the boss, where it's going to go, and you just get the fuck out of the way. I just enjoy games where it's actually skill-based like that, as opposed to some... I guess someone would argue that Cuphead's the ultimate skill-based game, but... to me, there is a ceiling where it's just not fun anymore. Cuphead's a very good-looking game. It's a very difficult game, obviously. We're really just going for pound difficulty. It's that hard. And the animation looks weird because they're going with like a clean Flash-based animation instead of hand-drawn, so that looks weird. But, yeah. But anyways, other than that, Blasphemous is still good. Octopath's always good. Just... you gotta watch the order you do some of those, because they do get pretty tough in Octopath. But yeah. Other than that, just watching a lot of good wrestling, and then kind of watching newer wrestling just to see if it really is rose-tinted lenses or if it is just bad now, and it's just bad now. There are so many good... well, even AEW's kind of slipped a bit, but there's other good wrestling promotions other than WWE, so I just find it funny how, because it's the Apple of wrestling, so many people just gravitate towards it because everyone knows that brand, and you know, I feel like New Japan Pro is like the Android of wrestling, where it's like it's actively very useful, very good, very ahead of the curve in terms of technology, if you want to go that route, but no one really pays attention to it as much because it's just Android, and then you have WWE, which is the shinier one, but it's not really that good, and that is that. Like I said, I just watched several old matches and then several new matches just to compare and contrast, and I tried to be as fair as possible by doing tier equivalents and everything like that, but it just doesn't have the same pizzazz. The only time it's kind of good now is just when the wrestlers you expect to be good, just because they are that good, are performing, and that's pretty much it. I don't think it's entirely the new wrestlers' fault, where I'm just thinking all new wrestlers are bad, but I do feel that the industry kind of molds them now in a way that isn't as interesting. I feel like there's not as much focus. Like, gimmicks are always... I mean, I hate to blame it on it, but it really does have to do with a lot of the censoring of wrestling now. You know, you can't do a lot of the stuff. And whether or not it's cringy stuff like the way the Divas matches were back then, where they weren't really skill-based, or, you know, or just having, like, the pure violence on some of the old matches, even that taken out of the equation, you just can't do as much when there's a lot of limiters on, and I feel like that's what's happening with a lot of these wrestlers. There are several moves that are just banned now that they can't do that are more interesting, but they are also more risky, and because of that, they're not allowed to do a lot of those because they don't want kids imitating it, etc., etc., although that's always been a thing, and, like, how many times as kids our age did we want to imitate a lot of that stuff, but probably weren't athletically gifted enough to copy a lot of that stuff, so it's just one of those things where I'm just like, did we really copy it back then? Yeah, there were the idiots who, like, threw their brother through a bed or some shit like that, and it's like, that'll always happen, though. That's like blaming Halo for gun violence. It's like, should it really be blamed for that? You know, how ridiculous is that you thought you were Master Chief, so you went on a mass shooting spree? To me, that's kind of like, it's stupid. It's like, you know, blaming Marilyn Manson for Columbine and stuff like that.
Remember when that one British soldier played Halo before the Boston Massacre?
I know, but that sounds hilarious. But that's the thing. It's like for every case that you can trace someone who did something bad due to entertainment medium, you can list literally millions who don't do anything like that. So it's one of those things where people always like to focus on the X factor, and I think that that's a big issue. But yeah, anyways, going back to the point, wrestling, I think, really has gotten objectively worse, but it's not the talent's fault, it's the industry's fault by, like, again, turning on the limiters. Like, if you watch AEW and stuff like that, because they're on... What the fuck are they on? TNT, I want to say? Where I guess Ted Turner doesn't give a fuck, apparently, but it's a lot more violent. And I have to agree with what Jim Cornette said, where he's not a big fan of hardcore wrestling, or ECW especially, because ECW kind of revolutionized that, and WWE made their hardcore division to copy and try to utilize ECW, and then eventually bought them, obviously. But I agree with Jim Cornette. The problem with hardcore wrestling is you bred a breed of wrestlers that have no real in-ring... Not all of them, obviously people like RVD and stuff like that had a lot of talent, but you did breed a lot of them who were only someone if they had their signature weapon, like a bat or a chair or whatever. They weren't that interesting of a wrestler. Like, Sabu's a great example. Sabu is a fantastic wrestler if you can go through a table, if you can get hit with a chair, if you can use a barbed wire bat, because otherwise his whole moveset was entirely based on putting you through something. If Sabu had to do a plain plain wrestling match, one fall, in the ring, DQs on, countouts on, he would be grounded because there wouldn't be much that he can do. He can jump off the ring post, he can, like, try to clothesline people, but it just wouldn't be as interesting. And I think that, you know, he talked about how a lot of those people shortened their careers because of how much they, you know, getting 16 stitches a night, performing 5 times a week, doing that where you were hurting yourself, and you were just like, and you weren't getting paid that well, especially in ECW. Paul Heyman didn't pay anyone anything, basically. Everyone was getting, you know, you had people like the Midnight Express where they were talking their way up during that same era to like $1 million each, and people at ECW were getting like $40,000, $50,000 a year. So... Did I say a week? I meant a year. Sorry, excuse me. They were all getting paid like $1 million. Talent in the WWF is getting anywhere from $500,000 to like $1 million a year. Like Kevin Nash was getting paid like $800,000, stuff like that. Then you had these ECW guys that were getting paid barely more than minimum wage people to risk their lives and to tour, you know, 70 weeks out of a year or whatever the hell it was. It was a crazy schedule, and I agree with Jim Cornette. Like, obviously, you know, if you're a fan of brute force, you know, violence and everything, there's obviously a sadistic fan base for that, but it wasn't good for the talent, and it didn't breed good talent. So that same way here, where it's like almost the opposite of hardcore, where it's almost too softcore wrestling now, I feel like that same principle plays in now, where it's too softcore that it's not as interesting because everything's very safe. You got to be too careful. You can't do pile drivers unless you're the Undertaker. It's like they're always banning and unbanning moves just because some people can do it and some people can't. The pile driver, there's a lot of moves in wrestling, but the pile driver is listed as one of the most dangerous moves if done incorrectly, because you're just going to give someone a concussion, like what Owen Hart did to Stone Cold. So, you just got to be really careful. That's the thing, to wrap that up, all I'm going to say is, yes, wrestling is predetermined outcomes, but the amount of athleticism it takes, and, there's no way to fake getting hit with a chair. There's no way to get fake when they hit their bare back on the concrete exposed floor when they're going up and down the outside of the ring. It still hurts. The victor is determined. They try their best to do that. But there's definitely some pain involved still in there. And I think that's one of the things. I think people take away the athleticism of them too much, and I think that's discrediting them way too much. Mm-hmm. But yeah. And other than that, rest in peace to Martin Birch, a legendary metal producer, tons of bands, but primarily did the golden era for Iron Maiden and the golden era for Black Sabbath. So, a huge loss. I was very surprised to hear about it, but he was getting up there in age, so, everyone's eventually going to get there. But it's a shame, he did produce a lot of my favorite tunes. He's always had his name as a producer for a lot of my favorite albums growing up, so there's that. So rest in peace to him, and, big loss for heavy metal. A few other musicians died, so I don't mean to slight them. It's just he was a closer impact to me. So, I think it was UFO's co-founder died, which sucks because UFO's are great. But there's that. Oh, right. So, Mr. Josh, where can everybody find any of your content that we've all so actively been posting? I feel like none of us have been doing anything like that. But
you can see those hot takes not really on Twitter. Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at Joshiro Joestar, YouTube, ShiroPlay5.
Mr. John?
I'm the School Evil Dead guy now on Instagram.
Mallory?
You can find me on Instagram at awesome_Mally.
Alrighty, and then you can find my stuff all the places, ZD Rocker and DisconnectedCast.com, as well as SlimAsianEntertainment.com. Alright, a couple of more Ubisoft execs have been ousted out of the company due to the Me Too movement that's been active there for a couple of weeks now. Now, the thing with this Me Too movement, which a lot of people like to call cancel culture, because obviously that's the same thing. No, but anyways, the problem that I want to highlight for a lot of these executives leaving is the fact that they're quitting. They're not getting fired. None of the, the 10 plus executives that have quit, not been fired, over the last 2 weeks have all left of their own volition, which means that they can just go to EA, they can just go to, BioWare or wherever else and get a job. Because they were never fired for these acts. They left because they started to get caught, and that's a lot of these things. Like anything with allegations, you never want to victim shame, so you always want to give the benefit of the doubt, and if they were so confident that they were innocent, I don't think they would be quitting. I just don't. Obviously, if you thought you could win a thing like that, you wouldn't just quit. So, yeah. One of the ones that left was Tommy Francois, and then the other one was Arshaf Ismail, who was one of the leads at Assassin's Creed. So maybe that series will be good now. Well, it's been fine for the last couple of games, but we'll see, because Valhalla hasn't literally shown anything yet. Do any of you guys have any hype for that at the moment?
Meh. It looks cool, from what we've seen, but I'm not super excited for it. I played, what was it, Odyssey? Odyssey was cool, but meh.
I do hear good things about Odyssey.
Odyssey and Origin are both very good, because Origin was that turning point in change of style, and then Odyssey kind of, ran with it, which is really good. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure Valhalla was great, but meh.
Yep. I think the biggest problem is just the fact that you just know what to expect already. After the change, this is already going to be the third game after the change. It's it's already expected now. And you really don't want them to change it because it is fine already the way it is. So, yep, I think it'll be fine. PlayStation, being the motherfuckers that they are, made an announcement about the way their last-gen accessories are going to work on the next gen. They won't. They will, asterisk. You can use your PS4 peripherals on PS4 games on the PS5. But you can't use the PS4 peripherals for the PS5 games. Unlike Xbox, where your Xbox One controllers are still going to work on Xbox Series X. So you'll have a bunch of controllers now instead of having to buy a bunch. I think that's just a really shitty industry move. I think that this is showing how sometimes Sony is stuck sometimes Nintendo shows that they're grandpa, but Sony has a lot of those weird faux pas as well, like not embracing technology like backwards compatibility, keeping the same controller design for like 3 generations, then finally changing it up, kind of. And then now this is an actual change where it became an Xbox controller. And then just the whole idea that they just don't have their technology last. The fact that it's not rated past 1 generation. It is this time, but like barely, because again, it'll only work on PS4 games backwards compatible. So probably because it's emulating it like that. So then the controller will be, it's going to be as if you're running X input or whatever on PC. So it's just one of those things where it's just like, okay. Now here's the thing, all you PS5 players out there. If you like the controller and you hate the Xbox controller, you can fuck yourself, because it's literally just an Xbox controller. That's going to be that PlayStation hypocrisy coming through once again and being like, now that PlayStation's done it, it's hype, even though Xbox has been doing this since the OG Xbox Control S-Type. But yeah, fuck the Xbox controller, but I like this one. So it's one of those things where when I hear moronic stuff like that, I'm like, fuck off, PlayStation people. It's just like, why? But,
well, yeah, bro, but the Xbox ones don't say PlayStation on it.
I mean, that's basically the difference at this point.
I know.
That's weird. My friend had this conversation with me the other day where he asked, what do you think about the different controllers? Like, what's your favorite? I said, PlayStation's always been familiar because, again, for 3 generations they didn't change it. The Pro Controller for Switch is fine, but... No. The reason both of them are going to be fine now, the PS5 and the Switch controller, the Pro controller, is because they're literally just Xbox controllers. Like, just literally that's the thing. And so because of that, I was like, I've always found the Xbox controllers comfortable. Ever since they fixed the D-pad problem in the Xbox One's second set of controllers, it's one of those things where I just don't have any issues. Because that was always everyone's problem with the Xbox controllers, was always the D-pad. Well, once that got resolved, then I'm like, well, what's the problem now? There isn't one. Because I feel like ergonomically, when I play games for a really long time, when I hold a PS4 controller or I hold an Xbox controller, the weight and the ergonomics of the Xbox controller feels better when you're playing more than several hours. Because the thing with the PlayStation 4 controllers, when you're holding those 2 dildos, like nubs at the end, it felt really weird when you're holding it for like 4 or 5 hours of playthrough. It just didn't feel, again, as comfortable. I wouldn't say it felt bad. I would just say objectively, when you're holding each controller for more than several hours, the Xbox One feels more comfortable because of the better weight distribution and the fact that it's wider, so the way it sits in the hands, the ergonomics is, again, a little bit better designed. And I think that the proof of that is the fact that the PS5 was like, let me just do that. Because I think if the PlayStation controller is so tried and true, they wouldn't have done this new version. So you wouldn't break something that works. So I think that PlayStation just kind of understands all the points I just said about the Xbox controller, and that's why they want to get in on that. And I think that's why they've designed the PS5 controller the way they have. And I think it'll work fine. Again, it'll be good because it's just an Xbox controller that's white and says PlayStation on it.
I hope they fix the battery.
Hopefully. The fact that they're once again going with a built-in as opposed to giving you the option.
Yeah.
Because Xbox gives you the option.
Yeah.
It's a battery pack away, and then boom, you have a built-in one. Which, by the way, the optional lithium-ion pack on the Xbox One still lasts better than the PS4.
Oh yeah.
So even when you convert it, where it's not as good as AA's, just give us the option.
Like, I rarely ever use my Xbox One, granted, but I have rarely needed to recharge the battery for that thing, and I think that still says something, because even if I say I don't touch my PS4 for like a month, I still have to charge the controller.
Right, because the controller does have drain, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but
the Xbox.
I could go months without touching the Xbox One, and the controller still has, charge in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the battery for the Xbox One controller is certainly much better than the PS4.
Yeah, no, that is something I think that is an actual thing you could consider an issue. There wouldn't be many what I would consider issues with the PS4 controller except for that.
Yeah, because really that's the only problem I have. Ergonomically, I've never really had any issues with it, because it just feels like a PlayStation controller for me. And I like that it feels a bit sturdier than the PS3, because the DualShock 3, that one felt a bit...
It was hollow, that's why.
Yeah, it always felt weird holding it. But yeah, battery. They need to fix that.
Yep. I feel like they're not going to,
Problem.
because the controller, this generation, I'm guessing, is probably going to be more expensive, like everything else that they've announced so far, being more expensive this generation. And because of that, I feel like to cut cost and make it maybe just a $70 controller instead of a $100 controller, they're probably going to put a tiny battery again, and that was the problem.
Are they keeping the
time.
LED shit, or are they removing that?
It has the LEDs on the sides now, but yes, it's right by the touchpad instead of being across the. Okay, so on the new controllers, it's on the top and across the pad, and then on the new one, it's going to be to the left of the face buttons, and then to the right of the D-pad. But they're still there on the front. So.
Like, that LED, like, it looks nice, but that's pretty much the
Well,
main
no games
reason.
really utilized it.
Yeah.
And this time, I don't know if it's going to have the front-facing LED. I didn't look at that side of the controller, but it will at least have vanity LEDs. So it won't be as power-hungry, but that definitely didn't help with the...
Yeah.
I mean, you can turn it down or off or whatever, and it actually does have a noticeable increase in battery life.
Yeah.
But that's the sad thing, is that shouldn't even be a thing.
Yeah. And that's pretty much how you know that that's what's killing the battery.
And Sony always likes putting some gimmicky thing like that. You had 6-axis in the 3, and how many games use 6-axis? Then
Layer?
you have... That's pretty much it. Mirror's Edge, and that's pretty much it. And then you have the thing where it's just like, how many things you use the LED effectively, not just for health or some dumb shit like that. Used it extensively. Infamous Second Son is one of the only ones I can think
I was going to
of.
say, notice it's usually only the launch titles that
That's
do
it,
that
because
shit.
they give up already. It's way too much effort to put into putting it where, oh, you gotta have this color whenever you do this to, like, you gotta change, actively change the colors or something. It's just not worth the dev time.
Yeah, because Infamous Second Son, you had the one that used the rotation things. You'd hold it like the spray paint can.
And shake
The Order, same thing. When you get a fancy new toy from...
use it to look around.
Yeah, you move it and shit.
Yep.
Not too many things that utilize the touchpad either, although I do kind of like the touchpad. Just because it's a lot faster typing with it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
At least moving the cursor around. Yeah.
Mal, John, any... well, Mallory's probably gonna... Mallory, I'm assuming you prefer Xbox controller?
Yeah, I do.
And John, how about you? Since you've had time... Oh, sorry, Mal, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say it just feels better in my hands than the PS4 controller.
And Johnny boy?
I'm preferential in the PlayStation's thumbstick placement, but the Xbox controller does feel better.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, so there's that. Oh, yeah, Avengers. So if anyone's been keeping track of the way the gameplay looks, I was gonna post it as fucking homework, but then I realized if you guys gave a fuck, you guys would have probably looked it up by now, which shows about how much anyone gives a fuck about that game. So the main problem already was when they first announced the game, it had a bad trailer with fake gameplay, so, very much Assassin's Creed Valhalla style. Then, the next announcement after that, when they were going to actually show actual gameplay, is the fact that there was going to be a roadmap game. Which, of course, is the problem, is that means it's going to have, 5 levels at launch, and then probably have to buy the rest through a season pass.
Right.
The roster is fine, I guess, because it's basically the movie Avengers plus Kamala Khan, who looks fine, and I saw the behind-the-scenes video of her, and it's kind of cool the work that they put into her. But my biggest problem, you hear a lot of buzzwords in those trailers, put a lot of passion into this. We did our best to make sure that this character was done so well. Okay, but is the game going to be done well? You can put as much blood, sweat, and tears, but when you disassemble it and sell it piecemeal for $30, $40 a season pass, it's just like, am I playing a fighting game or am I playing a video game at this point that you're just selling me bullshit in post over and over and fucking over and over again? It's like, Jesus Christ. And then, of course, the biggest... I have a bunch of morons telling me how it makes sense from a business standpoint, but from a not shitty Epstein point of view, it's one of those things where it's just like, Spider-Man should be in all the games. Even if Sony gets an extra cut from the Xbox version or the PC version, fine, but he should just be in all the games. The fact that it's not like it's fucking Hawkeye, where no one could give 2 fucks if he wasn't in the game. It's Spider-Man, one of the main members of the Avengers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To me, that's just Sony just being shitty. Just being a bad company overall in terms of wanting to make this game work, right? They talk about, again, passion and shit behind the game. If you were so passionate about the game, why the fuck would you take a main character out of it? To me, that makes absolutely no sense. If anything, remove him from all of them then, if you're going to go that route. I think that would be the more logical route, would just to be to take him out of everything. Because, okay, fine. If you don't want to take him out of everything, the Xbox and PC version should be $40. And the PlayStation should be $60. Because the Xbox and PC versions are literally missing content. Mm-hmm. Missing a whole character and has a ton of the storyline yanked out, which I'm curious how they're gonna make that work with all the scenes without Spider-Man that have Spider-Man when he's talking and has to do a thing where he has to get to the roof. What they're gonna do in the Xbox and PlayStation versions.
It's just gonna be Italian.
I feel like Hulk's just gonna jump up there and do the thing or whatever. But to me, that's just extra work that could make the game suffer more, because it's like now you're having to make shit up for a second version of the game, essentially.
Yeah.
To me, it just makes no sense to do that. Again, if you're so passionate about this epic game that's going to come out, so fuck Square Enix, fuck Sony, and that's just makes me even less hyped. Not that I give a fuck already. I understand I'm already biased against it. I know people keep posting shit, those fake, shitty trailers, when they were just like, oh my god, so hype. And I'm just like, yeah, guys, it's fake. And I'm like, fuck you, man, I don't hear about that. It's just one of those things where just like, yeah, great. You guys like your shitty Overwatch and whatever when they're killing Hong Kong people, but whatever. It's fine. But yeah, so Avengers game looking less hot than it already did. Sony reporting that they are 22% down in hardware, which makes sense because when your next-gen console launches in 5 months, no one's really buying the old one anymore, except for the fact that there are usually exorbitant sales. And again, we talked about it already, there's probably not going to be any good launch titles because, I'm sorry, if anyone has an update, please tell me. Has anyone heard of any epic Xbox or PlayStation 5 launch titles that are coming out for sure? Alright, that's what I thought. So it's one of those things where it's just like, there's still no real incentive because all the games that are going to be coming out that look so hype on that are coming out on current gen still. You can play Cyberpunk and whatever else on the current gen. So there just really isn't that incentive to leap yet, and because of that, it's like, whatever. But their digital software is up 83% because, again, nobody buys physical games, and especially with COVID right now, that's just gone up even more. Mm-hmm. So they're 83% over last year, which is amazing. That's an insane amount of revenue, because if you think about how much they made in games, digital games last year, you can imagine that's a huge number. So 83 on top of that, you're almost at 200%, sales for the year. So that's great. It's just interesting to hear that. But again, it does make sense hardware wise. But it's crazy to think that they're that much up right now on. I think a lot of that also has to do with the sales that they've been doing since the beginning of COVID. As part of their stay-at-home initiative, they've been doing huge sales every week, so I think that has a lot to do with it as well. But they're up, and that's good. Bunch of Blizzard employees announcing anonymously sharing their wages in revolt. The fact that it's just really fucked up because that company is just ridiculously messed up right now.
Oh yeah.
It just has been. Let me rephrase that. Has always been, but especially in the last year or so, has just exponentially gotten shittier.
Yeah, well, even before they got acquired by Activision, their wages were still pretty low.
Yeah. And then, of course, there were people not getting paid for doing work at all and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's just, obviously it's going to get worse as they become more and more of a big corporation. Mm-hmm. There's going to be that. Surprise, surprise, big reveal that Call of Duty is releasing a game this year. Yeah. I don't know why they said that. Like Treyarch and Activision were like, huge news, guys. We're making another Call of Duty game this year.
I'd be more surprised if they didn't make one.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, what game was it? Was it Assassin's Creed, I want to say? Or was it... There was a game that had a flop, and then the advice was maybe you should take a year or 3 off, and then recuperate, and maybe the franchise will blow up again in a couple of years. I forgot what it was, but anyways, that's sound advice sometimes. I think sometimes when you do come out every year, it's really annoying.
Yeah.
And it's just really, how much are you going to upgrade it? And that's the thing, is the last few Call of Duties just haven't really been upgraded. Mm-hmm. But speaking of Call of Duty upgrades, there's been a 66 gigabyte patch on Xbox One recently, so Lord knows what that did. Because 66 gigs is a lot. I know that when the PS3 version of Skyrim got fixed, the patch was basically the game, so it was essentially the whole size of the game was the size of the patch, because the whole game had to basically be added to the PS3 version. So I understand that's a thing, but it's like this game, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the new Modern Warfare, Modern Warfare 2019, not Modern Warfare 2009 or whatever. It's weird that they're just starting to regurgitate names too, because now there's 2 Modern Warfares and there's 2 Advanced Warfighters. So I don't know why. It's like there's so many combinations of words or numbers or whatever that it's weird that they're just starting to recycle names. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, it's like 30 games into the franchise, but still, it just feels like it's too early still to be repeating yourself. But yeah, anyways, so there's that. Horizon Zero Dawn is fucking gross on PC, an absolute piece of shit that crashes and barely runs all the time if it'll load the textures in. So we have Death Stranding, which is hailed as the ideal epic way to play the game, because Death Stranding just looks and runs amazing. Then a few weeks later, Horizon Zero Dawn, the worst way to play it is currently on PC because it's just a fucking gross looking piece of shit. So that's a shame. Horizon Zero Dawn, great game. A lot of people were waiting for the PC port, so it's a shame to hear it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it's graphically fucking weak. There's a Digital Foundry video that you can check out if you think I'm being a biased piece of shit. Check their breakdown out of how they will absolutely tear down how bad it's actually running on PC right now. Fixable, but it's bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's that. Alright, 3 people I don't give a fuck about, but they're in the news, so I gotta talk about them real quick. Ninja and Shroud have come back to Twitch, crawling and crying. However, they have regained, I'm sure, amazing deals. So they're back exclusive. Each of them are back exclusively with Twitch, getting paid tons of money again, as if the Mixer thing didn't happen. And not to mention, to remind everybody, no one should feel bad for them because they got bought out of their contracts. What does that mean? It means that Microsoft paid them the 5 years that they signed them for all at once and to let them go. Yeah. Whereas all the other Mixer content creators got a big dildo in the eye, and that's pretty much all they got when they left. It's a butt pain and an eye pain, and that's pretty much it. So now they're back on Twitch getting paid a lot after getting paid 5 years' worth of wages at Microsoft. So I think they're doing fine. Dr. Disrespect, of course, is not allowed on Twitch, and he was never going to go to Mixer according to himself, even if they offered him the same contract as Ninja, which I also declined that thing. If they ought to offer me as much as Ninja, fuck them. I'm not going to Mixer, because I can make that promise too. And anyways, he appeared on YouTube Gaming, streaming to a few 100,000 people, and was being a weird, vague person about it. He was just on stream, being the toxic little fuck that he is, and didn't really give any news. He didn't really say if he's with YouTube Gaming exclusively, or if he's just there to piss around for now. To me, I just don't get why people would want, and this is the thing, I feel like Facebook Gaming or YouTube will sign him, and I don't get it, because he's such a volatile fucker that I just don't get it. And if he really is part of that fucking, the Me Too stuff from the gaming community, and because that's around the time he got fired, was when all those Me Too accusations came out on Twitch, I'm just saying, if he's part of that as well, that's a real big reason not to,
Which just really sucks, because when you see companies that will throw money at very toxic people, it really shows where they stand.
Yeah.
Which is just with the money.
Exactly. At least Twitch, as moralless as they are, had enough morals to ban Dr. Disrespect over whatever it was. I think here's my biggest problem. Is Twitch bans people all the time. Obviously, it's a big meme to get banned on Twitch is very easy.
Yeah.
You play music in the background, have a slightly suggestive top, have whatever. There's all sorts of ways to easily get banned from Twitch. However, if you think about it, Twitch is usually very openly disclosing a lot of these things. Oh, that person got banned for being a pedophile. Mm-hmm. That person got banned for showing her tits on the air. That person got banned for being a racist. That person got banned for... It turns out that Smash player was a pedo-rapist. If they're willing to say all this stuff, rapists, criminals, and all these criminals and stuff like that, but they won't say what Dr. Disrespect did, it really makes you wonder. I don't care on the sense of, what did he do? I'm so interested in this tabloid guy. Mm-hmm. But I am curious that with all this stuff Twitch will disclose, my two theories are either he did something that bad, where it's like he's part of a drug ring, no, but then he'd be in jail. I don't know. It's really weird. But then my other thing is maybe they do have a contractual clause where he's like, if I ever get banned, you guys cannot fucking say why I'm banned. I could see that being in the contract clause that he is, attorney or whatever added in there. But it is just odd that with all these bad things they disclose, I'm very curious what the fuck did he do then if they're zipped up about it, because Twitch usually just tells everybody the laundry. So there's that. So yeah, those three assholes are imploding. I mean, fucking great. Well, I don't know about this Dr. Disrespect. We assume he's employed, but we'll see. Animal Crossing, putting up the big numbers. Breath of the Wild is now 3.5 years old. Animal Crossing is about 6 months old. Has already surpassed Breath of the Wild's lifetime sales.
Wow.
In a matter of half a year. So, congratulations to Animal Crossing, now the most successful, by a country mile, I'm sure, because people will continue to buy Animal Crossing over the next, say, if we fast forward 3.5 years from now, and that many more copies sell, what is now considered the most successful Switch title of all time. So, congratulations to Animal Crossing's team. I don't know how separated they are. I'm assuming very separated from the Breath of the Wild team. But congrats on them. It's a great game. Again, I got burned out on it very fast. But that's just because of my obsessive behavior with games. You know, I get into Destiny and I'll play it, 13 hours a day for a month and then I get tired of it. Mm-hmm. Animal Crossing was the same thing. I played it all day, every day. My friends would be on it. We'd play. They'd leave and come back, and I would still be for my initial sessions when I'm originally playing still. So it's just one of those things where I just get tired of the game because I fucking play 100 hours when most people are like 20 hours, and I'm already 100 hours in, and I'm tired of it. Yeah. So that's all it was, really. Nothing to do with the game being bad or anything. And again, the new stuff they added sounds cool. Just not cool enough yet to drag me in, but it's making me interested. The fact that you can dive now and all this shit. Like, they're adding actual new elements. Kind of cool.
Yeah, I've kind of been I haven't played it in a while, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. I kind of just got tired of doing, like...
The dailies?
The daily stuff.
You just felt like you were kind of forcing yourself to do it?
A bit, and then, like, it became a little too routine for me. Like, I would come home from work, I'd play Animal Crossing for a bit, sleep, and then, whatever. And I'm trying to change my routine so that it's not as depressing. Mm. So, I just haven't really, like, gotten around to touching it.
Right.
Just because of that, but,
What about you, Mallory? Have you been playing Animal Crossing?
Oh. I have not. I kind of got bored with it, so I put it down for a little bit. I'm hoping to pick it up in the next month, though. I just needed a break from it because it got very stagnant, so...
I hear you. But yeah, so that's pretty much the same for me. Xbox Series S has leaked recently, so it looks like there's going to be a budget version of the Xbox Next Gen, which makes sense if PlayStation's going to do it. The Xbox obviously already did it this generation, so why wouldn't they do it again? So not the biggest surprise, but, there's that. They still have yet to do any official promoting for it. But there's enough viable leaks that it's out there. Xbox Series X has announced that they will be launching in November. PlayStation 5 still has no launch date, so we're still waiting on them to make a move now that they know. I think a lot of people are waiting to see who's going to pull the trigger first because COVID's probably going to cause supply chain issues, so we'll see how this launch goes for either console. Mm-hmm. Halo Infinite, of course, has been delayed into 2021 with no definitive date yet. So, Halo Infinite, which they were hoping for a launch title, is not going to happen after all. Now, is it coincidence that it was after the graphical criticisms that they announced this delay? Who knows? But it is kind of interesting that they did announce this delay after the graphical criticisms from the trailer. So, who knows? Just coincidental to me. Coincidental. Last of Us 2 is getting permadeath and grounded difficulty in the new update that's coming. Now, I thought grounded always came with the game, but I guess not. So now grounded is being added as a difficulty now. So John can go play that all over again. Well, I talked to Josh about this a while back, but I was talking to him about how about in SMT3, Dante's there, but then in a future version, Dante was removed because the partnership, I guess, between Capcom and Atlas ended, or whatever that was. So they have an imposter Dante in later versions of SMT3. Well,
I was going to say, I actually found out some stuff. Apparently, in the original version, Dante wasn't not in it. The international release, they added Dante
in it.
So it could be that now they're just releasing what initially released?
Yes, so they're doing that, and then Dante's now going to be DLC for SMT3. So you can get the whatever version you want to play. You can now have Dante or have Imposter Dante. I forgot what they called him, but it's so obviously Dante. But yeah, so there's that. So that'll be very interesting that they're giving you the option of that, just because I just didn't think they could do that anymore. So I guess they probably signed a little ink with Capcom for a little rental.
Probably, and Capcom
and with the success of DMC5, I mean, come on, Dante's cool.
Yeah, it's just bites that you're getting Devil May Cry 2 Dante.
Yeah, because I guess at the time that was the one that was out.
Yeah.
That was the relevant one.
And I'm not gonna lie, aesthetically, I thought Devil May Cry 2 Dante looked pretty badass.
He's just boring.
No, he's hella dry.
He's just so...
He's so damn
Yeah, because
dry.
I remember Pat and Wooly had this conversation, although it got a bit derailed because Pat kept moving the goalposts in their conversation. I agree with Pat, though, that, like, exactly, Dante in 2 wasn't even bad. The game was bad.
Yeah.
But Dante himself was not offensively bad, he's just boring.
Yeah, he's... Out of all of the games, that's the one that he's the most out of character.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess they tried going with the whole, like, more grim...
Yeah, he was emo.
Cool kind of character, but then in 3, they're just like, nah, fuck it, he's just gonna have fun.
He's gonna be silly.
Yeah.
He's ridiculous, and that's kind of how he's
gonna be doing the jokes and gaffes.
And then in 5, he's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
In 5.
Yeah.
So there's that. So Control, one of the best games to come out last year, is getting a fucky next-gen upgrade. The only way to get the next-gen upgrade for Control without rebuying next-gen version is you have to buy the $40 Ultimate version that comes out next month.
Mm.
If you bought it at launch, or if you bought all the DLC launch and all the DLC, they give you the middle finger. You have to buy the new $40 version with all of the stuff to get the next-gen upgrade. So if you put off playing Control up to this point, you're going to be rewarded with the next-gen version by buying this new, cheaper version, as opposed to the Day 1 supporters who bought the game for $60 plus a season pass. So, yes, this is the kind of thing that's the problem. So we've heard about a lot of cool free next-gen upgrades. Cyberpunk, everyone's announced that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Control kind of doing it in a shitty way, which is a bit of a shame. You know, Remedy games usually good, but 505 fucking it up. But, you know, whatever. It's just one of those things where it's just really... This is the problem, is, like, so many things like this happen where they give very little incentive for you to buy at launch. Mm-hmm. They're kind of telling people to just wait. Mortal Kombat 11 had that same problem, where the Aftermath version, or whatever the fuck, is going to be, like, cheaper than the...
Yeah, I mean, that's always the thing with fighting games, is because you have to ask yourself, you know, what kind of player are you? Are you going to be somebody who wants to pay attention to the meta from day one and play competitively? Guess what? You're going to have to put a lot of money into that.
Right.
But yeah, if you're patient and you wait, guess what? You can fucking get a version that has some extra content and some DLC.
Yeah.
It sucks, because even I didn't feel that the DLC was worth that price point.
For sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I get the model. I may not fully agree with it, but I get it. You know, and then at the end of the day, it's going to be the casuals that are going to really give the company the money.
Yeah.
Because for the competitive players, they're just like, okay, well, give us the DLC so you can stay on top of the meta. You know, lab those new characters and all that crap. So.
Yep. Control's also getting an update this month that lets you turn off dying. So I guess it's going to basically be like a narrative mode if you're just really bad at the game or you just want to experience a story. I've always found modes like that weird. I mean, I understand the accessibility and all that bullshit, but to me, if you can't even beat a game on easy, I think that there may literally be a problem, and I understand that that's why they add this, because again, it's got more of an accessibility thing. But also, if you can't beat a game on easy, I mean, are you missing all your limbs? If you're missing all your limbs, I can understand why you can't beat it on easy, in which case I'll be like, okay, you know what? You know, have a mind controller or the Xbox accessibility controller, and you know you can get around on that way, and now you won't die. So I get that. But if your IQ is like, you know, on a level that's considered competent, and you have all your appendages, and you can't beat a game on easy, might be a problem. Oh, you may be a boomer. I know a lot of fucking... It's weird watching parents play video games sometimes and just staring at the sky in first-person shooters and weird shit like that. So I guess you could just be old, but I don't know. To me, it's like... Nobody I know in my age group or whatever is just like, you couldn't even beat a game on easy. Most of the people I know play a game on normal and beat it. It's like, it's just weird to me that you would need something easier than easy. But, you know, who knows? Maybe someone out there is just bad at the game. Speaking of bad, Sam Fisher has been added as an operator in Rainbow Six Siege. Rainbow Six Siege, for those of you who don't know, is a bad Rainbow Six game that has been supported way too long, even though it's bad, because people force themselves to play it because they're starved of Rainbow Six. Which sucks, because Rainbow Six is great, but Rainbow Six Siege is bad. Apparently he's great, though. He's the best operator that's been added so far. Now, how much sense do the operators usually make in this game? Let's note the fact that Lara Croft was the last operator to be added to the game, so it's like... does it really make sense? The fact that now, I mean, you can do Sam Fisher versus Lara Croft. I guess that's kind of cool, I suppose. But it's still one of those things where I'm just like, doesn't seem to be rhyme and reason to why they're doing all this crap. And again, the game's just bad. It's one of those things where it's like SF5. It's SF5 for Rainbow Six, which is like, I just want it to die already so we can try again and hope that the next one will be good. But they keep supporting it for some fucking reason, and I'm like, just let it die. Like, give up. You lost. It's bad.
I wish Street Fighter 5 would die.
Yeah, I know, right? And at least they've announced, I think the season's the last one, right? Thank God.
Yeah, I don't know, but
I think they said that, but yeah.
I do know Ono is leaving Capcom, so
Dun-dun-dun.
yeah, so there's going to be someone else in charge of all that shit. So
they're just going to get
we'll see how it
Harada
goes.
to do it, and I'm just joking. Harada's going to work for both companies.
It's weird because I've seen people criticizing like, oh, good, because Ono, has done so many bad things. It's like, yeah, but remember Street Fighter 4 and how successful that was, though?
Yeah, even though it started bad.
Yeah, like, Ono was still a part of that.
He was.
So, I'm pretty sure there's plenty of other elements that caused Street Fighter 5 to be as shitty as it is. And I'm willing to wager it was more of those outside elements. Yeah, I kind of feel bad that some people were kind of thinking that way about Ono leaving. But
yeah, I feel like Harada would get the same where, I don't know, that's the thing, is when you've been with a company for so long, no matter how much good you do for them, the couple of times like Harada lied about certain characters or how good certain games were going to be or whatever, people only focus on the few trips instead of, oh wow, look at all this good shit that he did for the company. And I think that's just the curse of being any figurehead of a company. It's like, before what's his face in Nintendo died, Iwata.
Yeah.
Like, obviously he did a lot more good for bad for the company, especially taking those pay cuts and whatever. But I'm sure if Iwata was alive now, if he hadn't died, so many people would probably be a lot more critical of all the fuck-ups like the Wii U and the way that was marketed and all that shit, where it would have been thrown on him if he didn't die. So it's one of those things where it's just, I guess it would take Ono or Harada to die to fucking get any credit. But, yeah, no, it's fucked up. I think that is really fucked up that people are acting like that because, again, look at the good he has done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because Street Fighter 4, that was a big deal. Because that was pretty much, like, you can hate Street Fighter as much as you want. I'm not the hugest Street Fighter fan, but you have to acknowledge the fact where Street Fighter falls in regards to fighting games and just the culture. Iconic ones. Exactly.
How many things fucking parody or have Ryu in it?
Yeah.
Or fucking Chun-Li or whatever.
And when Street Fighter 4 came back, that was a huge resurgence of fighting games. Like, yeah, there were a few here and there that came out, but Street Fighter 4 was what really brought it back.
For sure.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, you gotta give some credit.
Yeah, credit has to be when credit's due, for sure. Dragon Ball FighterZ getting a Season 3. Master Roshi is confirmed. I don't know many other characters where I just saw the teaser.
Apparently,
for Master Roshi.
he was, like, accidentally leaked,
yeah,
supposedly.
some shit like
that's
that.
What someone... That's what I heard offhand.
Master Roshi's a weird character because I just never care for him because he's kind of a shitty person.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, and he's also not that strong, especially if you look at the other characters like Jiren and whoever else is in Dragon Ball FighterZ. It makes no sense for Roshi to be there, but whatever. I mean, there's a lot of characters who technically don't make sense in there anymore. If you have Beerus versus Krillin, that really shouldn't even be a fucking thing.
Apparently Roshi kind of pulls his weight during that Tournament of Power arc, from what I've been told. So, but yeah,
still weird.
Roshi is still a pervert.
Yeah.
It's problematic.
Pedophile.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah, made a minor, show him stuff. This is a problem.
So Rocksteady's announced their next DC game. It's going to be called Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League.
Oh,
bit edgy, but it's going to be the Suicide Squad, as you can assume, and apparently the mission is to kill the Justice League. We'll see where that goes. Of course, there's just teaser art, very placeholder art of like Harley and all that shit. So of course, but
if it doesn't play too much like the Arkham games, then
I
think it would be pretty.
Shouldn't
excited.
Because let's just say your roster to choose from is Harley, Killer Croc, Deadshot. I think they would have to, with the exception of a roadmap, go the Avengers route, where everyone's going to have their own engine, essentially.
Yeah.
That is one thing I'm going to give Avengers credit for, is the Hulk and Kamala Khan both play very different. Iron Man and fucking Black Widow play very different. Like, I like the fact that they all feel like, it doesn't just feel like skinned. It's not just like, oh, Spider-Man and Miles Morales in PS4 Spider-Man feel like Spider-Man because it's just the same fucking swinging engine. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, no shit. But, I think they would have to not do the Arkham thing. Maybe Killer Croc. Killer Croc's probably the one that can do some fucking combos and shit like that, I guess. But like with like the Fire Mexican Man and everybody else, they're gonna have to have their own mechanics. You know, maybe have them given like some flamethrower or Hadouken shit or whatever. Harley's gonna maybe have her hammer and then a gun maybe, and then of course
baseball bat.
Yeah, Deadshot's gonna have some like auto aim bullshit and stuff like that. I think he can do a good job. And although Rocksteady dropped the ball with the technically it was Iron Galaxy that did the port of Dark Knight, Arkham Knight. So I can't blame Rocksteady for that. Well, I can for contracting Iron Galaxy, but Iron Galaxy normally does a good job since they did fucking Dive Kick and they do a lot of the rollback shit. Anyways, I don't know what happened there, but the PC port is obviously fucked up for Arkham Knight, and then Arkham Origins was just a bad game. However, for the most part, Rocksteady makes some fun or some entertaining. They may not be great, but some entertaining Batman games. So I would like to see them attempt a take at not Batman in the Batman universe.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some WBDC event thing where
Maybe
they
there'll
should
be some reveal there.
Yeah, hopefully, because I know it's being teased a lot because on Twitter, someone, I don't know who, and I don't know their affiliation or involvement with any of it, but they've been kind of slowly teasing. It's been just letters, but they're in the same font as Injustice. So a lot of people are thinking it's probably going to be Injustice 3.
That'd be two strong announcements, Injustice 3, because the Injustice community is pretty, they're rabid for some content right now.
Oh, yes, especially with how lukewarm MK11 is right now.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, dude, just give us...
Actually, earlier today, there was a online tournament on Twitch. A buddy of mine, Noodles, I told you about him before, the one I told you who he played fighting games, and then he also does like hip-hop dance up in Canada. So he won first place. He got 1,000 American, which is a good amount for Canadian. And yeah, it was pretty fun watching that, and a lot of the community
was like, this is better than MK11.
Oh yeah.
and it's much older.
Yeah, the Injustice 2, like, people still fucking love it.
With Injustice, I forgot. I remember before it came out, I had not me. The world had their reservations about the whole equipment shit. I'm assuming when you play competitively, that's just all, you just play nude character to nude character.
You can turn the equipment on, but the effects won't do anything, so it's literally just cosmetic.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But of course you got those weirdos that are just like, I like playing gear matches.
That's weird.
I want to see the broken shit.
It's like people who like playing items in Smash. It's like, fuck off.
Yeah. Injustice 2, people still fucking love it. I have a friend who will not touch MK11 anymore.
I mean, I bought it and I hate it.
It's just... Yeah.
It's bad. And I'm a casual, to be clear, but I hate it. It's bad. And even people I know that seem to be in this scene hate it because it's bad.
Yeah, a lot of it's definitely not as hype as it used to be.
Yep. Which is a shame because the last couple were pretty good.
Oh yeah, no, MKX was fun.
And then 9 was...
And 9 was good.
9 was just when it really started being the turning point for that franchise being a serious fighting game.
Yes.
Not just arcade button mash bullshit, like actually getting there.
I do know, apparently... Now, of course, take this with a grain of salt, but... I don't know if it's Ed Boon himself, but some people have been trying to...
shaker of salt at that point.
Yeah. Some have been kind of being like, no, it's not going to be an Injustice 3 announcement. Although, if you look at the planning...
It looks like it would be. The event...
Yeah, next year would be when Injustice 3
would come out
falls.
anyways.
Yeah. However, I know they've kind of teased the possibility of possibly adding rollback netcode, or... maybe like an HD remaster of MK9.
Nice.
And if they did that, people would
love it.
Oh yeah, people would really...
Oh, by the way, as far as rollback goes, I don't think any fighting game should be allowed to come out anymore without rollback. Especially right now. More than any, because all the games are really suffering how bad the online is on some of these games.
Yeah.
Because they're fucking awful.
But yeah, Ed Boon has definitely teased about adding rollback.
God damn it, Ed Boon, you motherfucking...
I know.
You're such a liar.
I know.
I would believe it.
It's like, you shouldn't tease, but...
Because people call Harada a liar, but fucking Ed Boon is the king of liars.
But if they were to do an HD remake of... Or not remake, but remaster of MK9 and add rollback netcode, that would be pretty dope.
And it's old enough, I think they could do it.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing I remember Wooly was talking about in the podcast, is like, obviously everyone wants that, but it is harder to do in new games. He goes, but when you're playing an older game that's technically almost being emulated, essentially, He's like, it's easier to add it to that. And I think MK9 is old enough, and that'd be great. So hopefully, we'll hope. And then finally, the big, oops, I accidentally posted what Adidas I want to buy. The big news of the week, of course, is Fortnite is now out of the Google Play and Apple App Store because they got into a big old fight. So basically what ended up happening is Epic Games decided so that when you go through the Apple or Google Play Store, you have to pay their dividends. Now, is the cut fair? A lot of people would argue not. It's 30% of your revenue has to go to either Google or Apple, depending on the platform. They decided to just do microtransaction V-Bucks internally, so you could just bypass the App Store or Google Play. Of course, they don't like that because now all the revenue goes entirely to Epic, and then now they're hosting a game for no reasons, basically. So Apple was the first one to raise their arm and be like, hey, stop that shit or you're out of the fucking App Store, which is, by the way, one of the biggest application stores on Earth because Apple. And Epic was like, yeah, fuck you, Dad. And then they were just like, all right, fuck off, you're gone. And then shortly after, Google was like, yeah, that's a little yeah, you're gone. And then so now they're out of all, so I believe you would have to download it as an APK. So basically you can't play it on Apple because you can't do APK files on Apple. So you can backload it through Android, but now you can no longer play it on Apple. Now, the thing is, like, I get it. 30% is a lot. However, it's Epic fucking Games and Apple and Google. Epic, Apple, and Google. Oh, no, don't say anything, assistant, I'm sorry. Now, think about that.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Yeah, shut the hell up. Now, it's one of those things where it's just like, how 30%, right, is probably a few million, but out of how many millions that Epic's getting? And how many millions of that would not be generated without the Apples? Because now Apple's out of the equation at the moment. Again, you can backload it on Android, but technically on Apple, you're just disabled at the moment. And when Google decides to maybe do a patch that won't allow you to play online on Android, then you're just going to be fucked, basically, when they ever go that route. They're that angry about it. But yeah, so it's just one of those things where it's just like, I was just like, oh my god. Shut up, Google Assistant. So it's just one of those things where I'm just like, okay, look, I get it, but the thing that made me really pissed off about all of it is when Sweeney, from the Epic CEO, said, we're doing this for the basic freedoms and for all consumers and developers. Now they've turned it into this, like, they've become this justice warrior for developers. Fuck off, Epic Games. You guys have a majority stake through Tencent. You guys are not good guys. You guys are the billionaire scum that everyone shit talks. You guys aren't fucking Devolver. You guys are not fucking even 505 or any of the smaller publishers or developers. You guys are Epic fucking Games. Like, you guys don't get to play this fucking, Captain America shield in front of everybody. And that's how Sweeney's trying to play this whole thing. Now, thankfully, unlike a lot of times when people in the gaming industry just fawn over and believe the bullshit, a lot of them aren't. You have, Fortnite fans who are probably believing that shit, but you have a majority of people, not just Jim Sterling for once, who are all speaking up about how that's a bunch of nonsense and how Sweeney can't be the CEO of Epic Games and also defend the small people at the same time. Of course, people always tried to make that defense that, Epic Games, they're doing all the developers a favor, though. They're taking a smaller cut than Steam. They're bankrolling so many games, but it's all for profit. They've never donated like a fucking, here's $80,000 to this developer because we believe in them. They don't have to be on the Epic Games Store. This is just a present. That would be for the betterment of the gaming industry. Giving someone $50,000 so you can only go through their store is not for the better of the gaming industry. Again, it's a deal that, as Jim Sterling would say, you would never blame an indie developer for taking because yours is just instant. You've paid off your game, basically, and now if it sells, even if it doesn't, who gives a fuck? Because now you've made all your money and then some, because Epic does give big out payouts. However, if you're a AAA developer who goes on Epic exclusively, fuck you. And then second of all, Epic, you are not being a good person, though. Stop hiding behind this guys. Because ever since then, they've always been like, we're the anti-Steam force. Like, fuck them for taking 30%. We're only going to take 10. It's just like, because you can afford to. Because you can afford to. It's so easy to say. It's like if Bobby Kotick took a 50% pay cut, he'd still be almost halfway to being a billionaire anyways.
Yeah.
Easy to do that when you're that high. So that's the thing. I just really, I was like, I get it, I think it's funny that these billionaire companies are fighting each other, but I get it until Sweeney started playing I'm the fucking advocate for gamers and consumers and developers. Fuck off. Like, you're not. Stop trying to be a mouthpiece for the smaller people when you're that big. Now, I know some people are going to be like, well, it's not fair. It's not his fault. He's that big. But you're that big. If you're a billionaire, you know, does that inherently make you a shitty person? Well, maybe not. But people may have their assumptions about you or criticize you for having that money. But you have that money, so you now enter this camp of you will be criticized.
Yeah.
And then I think that that's the same thing with this. It's just like, you know, does Sweeney believe that in his heart? I really don't believe so, but even if he did, he doesn't get to say that because he's part of Epic. It's just what it is. He can say that objectively he wishes that smaller developers and that the consumers would be treated better. You can say that removed from the topic, but you can't be like, Epic Games is the hero for everyone. The fact that they're doing that is just pissing me off that they're trying to sell that. But I am happy that it doesn't seem to be working too much, at least not through games news. So no one's really pushing that. Everyone's kind of addressing it as propaganda, and it is. And then finally, Fortnite's getting TC, Joker, and Poison Ivy skins in Fortnite. So
Okay.
there's that. And on that very important news, we're going to wrap up for the week. We will catch you guys every Monday at 11 a.m. Central. Yeah, 11 a.m. Oh, fuck. We missed 1 week and I already forgot. We will catch you guys every Monday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Until the next episode, we will catch you guys then. Until then, see ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Refreshing.